Now this marks exactly 80 years since Sergeant Arne Holter was shot down. The Norwegians and other Allied soldiers who fell here travelled far from home. They were young people selected and trained to be part of the Norwegian wing detachment. 26 of the Norwegians lost their lives over the Netherlands. They were prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice, their own lives, to fight the enemy and help liberate a foreign democratic country, a country that most of them hadn't even seen before. They were ordinary young people prepared to do extraordinary things. Sergeant Arne Helle Holter was one of them. He lost his life only 25 years old when his plane was shot down on November 4th, 1944. We can ask ourselves why these young men were prepared to make this ultimate sacrifice. Because they believed it was important. Because they saw and felt the difference between being oppressed and being free. Today, more than ever, we should never forget that the freedoms we have are not free. Someone had to pay a heavy price for those freedoms, and it is up to all of us to preserve the memory of the liberators. Even today we see war fighting in Europe. Ukrainians are fighting to get the same freedom as we fought for. They are also willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. Therefore, it is of utmost importance to remember in order to prevent. We must remind ourselves, and not least the coming generations, that we have been to war, not in a country far away, but here at home. We must remind ourselves that our freedom did not come for free. We must remember in order to prevent that this will ever happen again. To Sgt Holter and all the other Allied soldiers who made the ultimate sacrifice, we will remember you, we will remember them. Thank you.
Sgt Holter was my mother's half-brother, and it's amazing to see so many people come and celebrate his sacrifice. As you were saying, it's not without a price. There's a cost for our freedom. Yeah. Thank you for coming.
That area too, really get really
trying to delay the German advance on Oslo.
So he was really fighting in the Norwegian army?
Yeah, and things like that.
And then it was in September, 4th September or something like that. He just flew his first mission.
It was not very long that he was flying. Yeah.
He did 19 missions.
19 missions. Yeah. So my mother was 2 years old. And her brother was 6 months old. So
it must be difficult for your mama.
Difficult, yeah.
We zijn vandaag bij elkaar hier op Vlodrop station en vandaag was een hele speciale dag, 17 november. Herdenkingsbijeenkomst speciaal voor onze Noorse piloot Arne Helle Holter, die precies 80 jaar geleden met zijn Spitfire hier neergeschoten is. En ter gelegenheid van die herdenking is ook familie overgekomen uit in dit geval Denemarken. Naast mij staat Celia. Celia is een nicht van Arne.
moeder was een zus van Arne Helle Holter. Celia,
Yeah.
welcome in Vlodrop station.
Thank you.
We're standing very close to the railroad behind you.
Yeah.
Which was the reason why Arne came here with a Spitfire 80 years ago and was shot down.
Yes.
We made a documentary about what happened at that time. We also made the story clear of what happened after the war, which are two really nice stories of two families. But we never could tell the story about Arne himself. So we're very pleased to have you now here to tell us a little bit more about Arne. I understand your mum was called after him.
Yes. His second name was Helle, and in Helle in Norwegian is a boy's name. But my mother's my grandmother was Danish, so Helle in Denmark is a girl's name. So she was named after her brother, half brother.
So you just told me a little bit more about his family, and I was surprised to hear he's actually from a very wealthy family in Norway.
Well, yes.
Is that an understatement, or?
No, I think it's quite
Yeah.
fine.
So
Yeah.
the surprise I had is that actually he fought a war. Being from a wealthy family, you would think there is ways of not going in there. And I was also surprised to hear that he was actually already in the army at the outbreak of the war when Germany invaded Norway.
He was fighting to stop the Germans from coming to Norway at the beginning of the war. So the 9th of April, when they were coming into.
So he
to
was
Norway.
already in the army.
I don't know if he was in the army or if he was. I think he was, but if he was definitely helping fighting to stop the Germans and to slow their advance to Oslo. Yeah.
And so after the Germans were successful in the landings,
Yes.
and so what happened with Arne after that?
Oh, he was fighting in the south of Norway, and was then moved to a place called Voss, where they continued fighting, and then from there he went to Canada.
To Canada?
Yeah, where he could learn to fly. And
that was his own choice?
That was his own choice, yeah.
He wanted to continue with the war?
He wanted to continue fighting, yes.
Right, so he must have been really motivated.
I think so, yeah.
That's the story in the family.
That's the story in the family, yes.
Yeah.
He's a very charming man, but his brothers and his cousins and uncles, they were all taking part in trying to stop the Germans from...
They were all fighting for freedom at that time already.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened in Canada, we know he had the training to become a pilot.
Yes.
And then the story continues. So you just said something, he was a very likable person.
Very, very likable, very charming.
Very charming, but he was the youngest.
He was the youngest of the family, yes.
The youngest boy, so generally that's the spoiled boy, isn't it?
Well, you would think so, but he was very dyslexic. He had trouble with school, and he actually failed 3 times to pass his gymnasium.
Right.
And then his father, my grandfather, he said, "Well, you have to be pretty special, and you must have something in you to be able to do it 3 times." So he was he wasn't disappointed. He was quite proud that he passed in the end, but. That he persevered, he kept going.
Oh, it's a very good thing.
Yeah.
It gives a little bit of the character of the person that he was.
Yes.
Right. We also just saw in his logbook that when in his military time in Canada, he was suspended for 3 days, being too late at work. Between quotes. That would fit the story a little bit.
That would fit the story a bit, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the stories after the war. Of course, his father died very soon after.
Yes, he died in 48.
48 already.
Yes. Yeah.
That could be the reason why the connection with the grave here was lost.
I think so.
The connecting factor was gone. Okay, so but you've heard about the stories back then.
Yes.
Because you were born. Well, your mum was born after he died. Huh?
My mum was born in 46, so he'd been dead 2 years when she was born.
And still the story was.
And still the story was there. Yes.
Yeah. So this is the emplacement of the railway station.
Yeah.
That your uncle attacked. We believe that there was a target somewhere here, and that he was on his way down to shoot it, and he got hit.
Yes.
And that is it. That's the end of him.
Yeah.
And the remnants of his plane were found in a kilometre square area all around.
Which has been an enormous explosion.
Must have been a really enormous explosion, yeah. You really don't want to think about that one.
No.
What did you think about the commemorative event that we had here today?
Yeah. Yes, I think it's very special. I think it's impressive how many people actually come, because it's one man, it's 80 years ago, but there's still so many people that are interested in commemorating. But I think it's also important that we tell these stories.
Because it's very relevant.
It's relevant, especially now with Ukraine and Israel and Palestine and all these other places where, just know, you want to make sure that people understand that this is serious. Yeah.
And it's so easy.
And it's so easy to go along. Yeah.
Well, Celia, I can only thank you for sharing this with us and to give us a little glimpse of what Arne Helle Holter, what kind of person he really was.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.